For 300 years, the Yevkari Empire ruled the galaxy. No one challenged them. No one survived when they did. Their ships were fast, strong, and filled with weapons. Their armies destroyed planets in hours. Entire species had vanished from the stars simply because they said no to the Yevkari. And now, the galaxy had grown quiet. Peaceful? No. Fearful. The kind of peace that comes when everyone is too scared to breathe. The Yevkari didn't want friends. They wanted silence, control, and power. They didn't care who lived or died as long as they obeyed. The galaxy became a cold place, ruled by fear and filled with whispers of rebellion that never lasted long. But then, a signal appeared, one that should not have existed. A ship exited FTL near the edge of Yevkari-controlled space. It was not registered. It did not match any known technology, and worst of all, it came from Earth. The Yevkari laughed at first. Earth, that forgotten world on the outer rim? Humans had been silent for centuries. Some believed they had destroyed themselves. Others believed they had never advanced beyond their small system. No one had seen a human in over 200 years, and now, a single ship? Let it come, said Admiral Vorik, commander of Outpost Kalar Prime. He watched the small black ship slowly approach from his command deck. We'll crush it in seconds. The crew laughed. It looked like a joke. Small, no visible weapons. No escorts, no shields detected, just one dark ship flying calmly toward the biggest Yevkari military station in this sector. But the laughter didn't last long. "Commander!" a technician shouted. "That ship, it's not responding to hails, it's ignoring our orders." Vorik leaned forward. "Charge weapons, send one warning shot, teach them respect." A pulse cannon fired from the station. It missed, on purpose, but the human ship did not stop. It didn't turn away. It didn't even slow down. "Fire again," Vorik ordered. This time, the shot was aimed at the ship, but something happened. The pulse vanished before it touched the hull, like it was absorbed. "Impossible," the technician whispered. The room fell silent. Suddenly, every system on the station began to flicker. Lights dimmed, screens glitched, alarms screamed. Then, silence. Complete. Dead. The ship stopped. No shots were fired from it. No weapons opened. And yet, one by one, the systems on the Yevkari outpost died. Power failed. Shields collapsed. Communications were cut. The station, once a fortress, was now just a floating shell in space. The last thing the crew saw, before emergency lights went out, was a simple message. 3 words. "We see you." Then the ship vanished. No FTL flash, no trail. Just gone. News spread fast. The Yevkari Empire tried to hide it, but leaks happened. A dreadnought taken offline by one ship from Earth? Unbelievable. But soon. More sightings came in. One in Sector Delta 9. Another near the moons of Kirak. Each time, the same ship. Dark, silent, deadly, and always alone. On a distant mining world, an old man named Jero watched the news on a cracked screen. He had once served in Earth's secret defense program before the silence. He smiled. "They finally released it," he whispered. His granddaughter looked at him. "Released what, Grandpa?" Jero leaned back. The hammer. The Council of Races met 2 days later in panic. Representatives of 20 major species sat around a cold table in a giant space station orbiting the Council core. The Yevkari were furious. "This is an act of war," shouted Grand Admiral Vorik. "Earth must be punished, immediately." "But Earth has no known fleet," said the Zorak ambassador. "No army. No planets under control. Just one ship." "Then we crush the ship." "Can you?" asked a quiet voice. Everyone turned to the Irani delegate, a slow, old species, wise, careful. "You tried once," he said softly. "And your weapons failed." The room fell silent. No one knew what to say. Earth had not asked for war. Earth had not claimed territory. Earth had sent one ship, and that one ship had done something impossible. Meanwhile, Earth remained silent. No message, no claim, no demand, just a dark sky and silence. But people across the galaxy were talking. Is, Earth back? Was this a test? What do they want? The fear that once belonged only to the Yevkari began to spread in a new direction, toward Earth. Back on Outpost Kalar Prime, crews worked to restore power. They found something strange in the data logs, a pattern, buried deep inside the station's core systems. It wasn't a virus. It wasn't a weapon. It was a message. Binary code. Translated, it said, "This is your only warning." The Yevkari Empire launched scouting teams toward the Sol system. They sent 3 stealth probes. None returned. One vanished mid-flight. The second burned out during re-entry. The third sent a 5-second clip before it was silenced. The clip showed a massive object hidden on the dark side of the moon. Black, silent, alive. The hammer was never seen leaving. Never seen entering. It simply appeared. And when it did, everything else stopped. One ship, no name, no flag. But the galaxy began to call it something else. The ghost of Earth. And slowly, fear returned to the stars. But this time, it wasn't. The Yevkari they feared. It was something far older, far quieter, far more dangerous. Humanity. For 2 centuries, Earth said nothing. No messages, no ships, no answers. The galaxy thought Earth was dead or scared, but the truth was something far more dangerous. Earth was preparing, and silence was their greatest weapon. High above Mars, inside an underground command center, an old general stood before a massive digital wall filled with blinking lights. Each light represented a star system. Red ones were hostile, blue ones neutral, and the green ones, they were Earth's, small, hidden, unknown to the galaxy. General Elena Kravitz narrowed her eyes. "They finally noticed the hammer," she said. A young officer stepped forward. "Should we respond, ma'am?" "No," Elena replied. "Not yet. Let the fear do the work." While alien empires ruled with noise and violence, Earth chose shadows. They watched every war, every empire's rise and fall. They studied Yevkari technology, battle formations, and weaknesses. They didn't build armies. They built knowledge. And when the time came, they didn't launch fleets. They launched one ship, the Hammer. 50 years earlier, Earth's top scientists began the Ghost program. The idea was simple. Build a ship so advanced it couldn't be tracked, touched, or destroyed. Not a ship of war, but a symbol, a warning. "It's not about firepower," said Dr. Marcus Wren in a secret recording. "It's about control. We give the galaxy something to fear, a shadow they can't kill." And so, in silence, Earth's greatest minds built it under Antarctica, hidden from satellites, shielded from space, powered by a technology the rest of the galaxy still didn't understand. Dark energy drives, quantum defense layers, adaptive armor. That reacted before it was hit. No crew, no bridge, just the hammer. Back in space, the Yevkari were not sitting still. They couldn't accept fear. Fear was poison to power. They sent fleets to key systems. They warned other species not to help Earth, and they made a mistake. They spoke too loudly, and Earth was listening. In a deep space listening post near Jupiter, a signal came through. Encrypted Yevkari transmissions. Commander Isa Ruiz sat up in her chair. "Patch it through. Decode it." The screen filled with alien symbols, then slowly translated to English. Operation Clean. Sky. Target. Earth's outer colonies. Eliminate all traces. Issa's jaw tightened. They're going to wipe out our remote labs. General Kravitz received the message in seconds. She didn't panic, she smiled. They're falling into the trap. You see, Earth never built a huge navy, but they did build decoys, fake colonies, fake outposts, places made to look valuable, but built for one purpose, to attract the enemy. So when the Yevkari fleet arrived at Outpost Theta 6, they found exactly what Earth wanted them to find. An open station. No defenses, a perfect target. They moved in fast. The first ship docked, then the second. Soldiers flooded in. That's when the doors sealed. That's when the lights turned red. And that's when the hammer appeared. Not from FTL, it simply materialized. Yevkari Commander Trask shouted in panic. "Shields! Fire everything!" But nothing responded. His screens went black. His weapons locked down. His crew screamed. Then, silence. In orbit, the rest of the fleet watched helplessly as all 12 ships inside the station simply disappeared. No explosion, no remains, no escape pods. Gone. Then, the hammer sent one message across all frequencies. You came to kill ghosts, but we are real. Panic spread across Yevkari Command. They blamed their own tech. They blamed spies. But one thing was now clear. Earth was not weak. It had never been weak. It had simply been quiet. Back on Earth, General Kravitz stood before a screen showing images. From across the galaxy, news headlines from alien worlds. Unknown human vessel destroys elite fleet. Earth awakens. The silent power has returned. She turned to her team. They will come for us soon, she said, but they won't. Find what they expect. A scientist nodded. We finished Project Phantom, ma'am. The others are almost ready. Kravitz smiled. Let them think we only have one hammer. That's enough. For now. Across the stars, smaller empires watched. The Yevkari had ruled, through fear, for so long. But now? Now the fear had changed direction. Species that once hid in the shadows began to whisper again. Could Earth be their hope? Could one ship really end centuries of control? They weren't sure. But they were watching. Meanwhile, the hammer returned to deep space. It hovered above a dead world long ago destroyed by the Yevkari. Sensors scanned the planet. Then, a signal launched. Buried deep in the dirt was a memory. Core.A record of a lost civilization. The hammer downloaded it, then vanished again. It wasn't just a weapon. It was a collector, a judge, a witness, and it was only just beginning. Back in the Council of Races, chaos ruled the room. The Yevkari ambassador shouted for war. The Irani called for peace. The Solari threatened to switch sides. And in the middle of it all, the name Earth was spoken over and over. No contact from their leaders. No clue how many ships they really have. Should we talk to them? Or stop them before it's too late? One voice whispered, almost too quiet to hear. Or maybe it's already too late. In a hidden chamber deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean, a council of Earth's leaders gathered in silence. Holograms flickered. Maps displayed alien fleet movements. And at the center of the room, a giant symbol glowed. Project. Whisper fire a man in. A dark suit stepped forward. Phase 2 is approved, he said. Send the hammer to the council borders. Another voice asked, and if they attack? The man replied coldly, then let them learn what silence truly sounds like. The Galactic Council had seen many wars. They had survived rebellions, black hole storms, and even time anomalies, but nothing prepared them for what was coming. Not from an army, not from a fleet, but from a single, silent shadow. The Hammer. Counselor. Vigran of the Yevkari stood in the great hall, voice shaking. "They are just humans," he yelled. "One planet, one ship. Why are we scared?" The others stared in silence. The Irani didn't respond. The Zorak ambassador looked down, and the Sillery delegate simply whispered, "Because we don't understand them." The council had received a transmission from Earth, a strange message. No threats, no demands, only 4 words. "We're still just watching." The council agreed to send a message ship to Earth's outer system, unarmed, peaceful. They called it a diplomatic mission, but they also sent a stealth ship behind it. Just in case, what they didn't know was Earth already knew, and they were waiting. The message ship, named Valence, entered the Sol system without resistance. The crew relaxed. "Maybe they want peace," said First Officer Caro, but Captain Leros was not so sure. "We've seen what their one ship can do," he said. "This silence isn't peace, it's something else." On the 6th day, Valence reached Pluto's orbit, and that's when it appeared, from nowhere. The hammer. It didn't jump in. It didn't glide in. It simply existed where it hadn't before. No engines. No sound. Just there. The crew froze. "Send greeting," Captain Leros said, voice dry. They did. No response. They tried again, still silence. Then, one by one, the Valence's systems shut down, not all at once, but slowly. First communications, then navigation, then artificial gravity. The lights dimmed, and on every screen, words appeared. "Return to your council. This is your only pass." Then everything turned back on. Just like that. The hammer was gone. The second ship, the stealth one, was not so lucky. It had been hiding near Saturn, watching, recording, waiting. But the moment the hammer left, the stealth ship tried to follow. It big mistake. All that remained of it was a piece of twisted hull found floating days later near Neptune. It carried no power, just a burn mark across the metal. One word etched into it like a scar. Observe. The council panicked. Some wanted war, others wanted surrender, but no one had a plan, because Earth had not attacked anyone directly. No planets bombed, no fleets destroyed in open combat, no invasions, only one ship, one silent, unstoppable shadow. Back. On Earth, General Elena Kravitz watched the council's response on a secure screen. "Are they sending more?" she asked. Her aide nodded. "The Yevkari are calling it a security threat. They still think it's about the hammer." Her voice was calm, cold. "They still don't understand." Far beneath the icy surface of Europa, another Earth facility activated. Dozens of humans stood in silence inside a massive chamber. In front of them, a second ship, sleek, smooth, covered in black metal skin. It had no name, just a number. RX-9. Voice echoed through the chamber. "Begin Shadow Protocol. Send RX-9 into deep space. Make sure no one sees it." And just like that, humanity's second ghost slipped into the stars. Across the galaxy, whispers turned to fear. Small civilizations began sending secret messages to Earth. "Will you protect us? Can you help us escape the Empire? Please, we'll do anything." But Earth never replied. And yet, sometimes, the hammer appeared near those desperate worlds, just for moments. And after that, the Yevkari ship stationed there would vanish. No explosions, no debris. Just silence. On the planet Nyros, a young boy named Telon sat with his grandfather as the skies darkened. The old man whispered, "Once we were strong. The Yevkari took that from us." Telon asked, "Can the humans give it back?" The old man looked up, eyes wet. "No, but they can remind the stars what fear feels like." The Yevkari Empire prepared a trap. They sent fake distress calls from one of their own planets. A civilian colony. They wanted the hammer to come. They loaded the planet's orbit with hidden weapons, energy mines, and cloaked fleets. They waited. But The hammer never showed. Instead, something else happened. Every screen on every ship displayed one sentence. "We don't answer lies." Then every weapon system on those ships shut down for 3 hours. No response. No way to restart. And when they came back online, every fleet log, every secret file, every plan, gone. Back on Earth, the data streamed in. The hammer had done more than watch. It had learned, and Earth now had access to the Yevkari's most secret files. General Kravitz stood over the data, nodding. "We now know their fleets, their weaknesses, their leaders." "What should we do next?" her aide asked. She turned. "We wait." But the galaxy wasn't going to wait much longer. The Irani sent a quiet message to Earth. "We request dialogue, not as rulers, but as equals." For the first time, Earth responded. One sentence. Send one, and only one. A small Irani craft entered Earth's orbit 2 weeks later. Inside was an old scholar named Markel, a historian. He was allowed to land. No weapons. No guards. Just questions. He was taken to a vast underground chamber beneath the Ural Mountains. There, standing before him, was General Kravitz. "You're the first to come here," she said. He bowed. "I came to understand." She didn't smile. "Then you're smarter than most." He looked up at the digital map behind her, showing hundreds of systems with red dots. "Do you intend to rule the stars?" Kravitz looked at the screen for a long time, then shook her head. "No." "Then why the hammer?" she finally answered. "To remind them." "Of what?" "Of the one species," she said, her voice sharp, "that doesn't need armies to burn empires." The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was in chaos. Every screen showed the same thing. The hammer, appearing in places it should not reach, disabling ships with no fire, no trace, no sound. And now, even peaceful worlds were turning to Earth. Yevkari. Authority was slipping. The Council had no more time. They sent a direct call to Earth. A demand. "You will answer now." But Earth didn't respond. Again, silence. And in that silence, fear grew. Yevkari Ambassador Vegran slammed his fist on the Council. "Table, this is war!" he roared. "They defy us openly. This Earth is a virus." Irani Elder Markel stood slowly, his voice calm but firm. "No, they're a mirror. We are only afraid because they've shown us our own reflection." "Then destroy the mirror!" Vegran shouted. "Crush them before it spreads!" A low, soft voice echoed through the chamber. "Then why haven't you?" Every screen flickered, the entire hall darkened. And for the first time in Council history, a message arrived. From Earth. It was not a face, not a voice, just a cold, slow sentence. "You are not the first to rule. You will not be the last to fall." Then, silence. Again. And the hammer was spotted the next day above a hidden Yevkari weapons vault in Sector R1930 defense platforms. Gone in 10 minutes. No energy signature, no survivors. Back on Earth, General Kravitz met with Earth's shadow cabinet. 12 leaders. No names, no nations, just decisions. "They're scared," said one. "They want war but don't know how to fight a ghost." Kravitz nodded. "And they're right to be scared. They built empires through fear. We built silence." Another leader asked, "Do we escalate?" "No," she said. "We let them talk themselves into surrender." Meanwhile, across Yevkari space, revolts began. On planets like Tyral III and moons like Nirak, the people began to rise. Not because Earth told them to, but because they saw hope. If one ship could defy the Empire, maybe freedom wasn't a dream. The Council called for an emergency session again. This time, Earth was invited to speak. No answer came. Then, one seat, empty for centuries, suddenly lit up with blue light. A hologram appeared, not of a person, but a rotating symbol. an old Earth flag. The hammer hovered behind it in the stars, and a message played. We sent one ship. That was a whisper. If you want to hear us speak, force us. Then the hologram ended. No more contact, no threats, no claims, only a challenge. The council chamber was frozen. Ambassador Solari broke the silence. I say, we talk. The room erupted in shouting. Cowards, no negotiations. They'll destroy everything. But not everyone shouted. Some listened. And many remembered Earth's history, a species that once destroyed itself, then rose again, a species that didn't need colonies to break an empire. The Yevkari Emperor, in his palace, high above the molten seas of his homeworld, gave the final order. Send the Supreme Armada, wipe Earth from the stars. Across the galaxy, the largest fleet in recorded history began moving. 10,000 warships, hundreds of dreadnoughts, all heading toward Earth. It would take 2 weeks to reach the Sol system, and they broadcast their plan, openly, proudly, to make a point. Earth didn't answer. But something changed. The hammer disappeared from sensors. No one knew where it went. Some thought it ran. Some believed Earth had lost its nerve. But those who truly understood went silent. Because the last time Earth disappeared, they returned with one ship that rewrote the rules of war. Back on Earth, Kravitz watched the fleet movements. Let them come, she said. But are we ready? Her aide asked. Kravitz smiled. We were never unready. The silence was never weakness. She tapped the screen. 5 dark circles lit up on a map. 5 locations. 5 deep space vaults. And inside each, another ship. The hammer was never alone. The galaxy just hadn't looked deep enough. The stars above Sol grew darker. The largest fleet in galactic history was coming. The Yevkari Supreme Armada. 10,000 ships, each one loaded with weapons strong. Enough to erase cities, each one programmed with one goal. Destroy Earth. They didn't come quietly. They broadcast their approach across every known frequency. This is your end, said the Yevkari admiral. Keltar, no more silence, no more games. The galaxy will watch you burn. Across alien worlds, people watched the signal in fear. Others watched in silence. Some whispered, if Earth wins, everything changes. On Earth, no panic spread. There were no evacuations. No war drums, no desperate speeches. General Kravitz stood in Earth Command, eyes calm. Are the vaults unlocked? She asked. A tech officer nodded. Yes, ma'am. 5 vessels are standing by. Do they know we only used one before? She asked. No, he replied. They still believe the hammer is all we have. She smiled coldly. Good. In the outer system, the hammer waited, alone, silent. Watching the massive fleet approach. It didn't run, it didn't hide, it just hovered, like a statue in space, until the first Yevkari scout ships came into range. Target is invisual, said. A Yevkari captain aboard the lead dreadnought. Fire first, Admiral Keltar ordered. Make it quick. Dozens of ships opened fire, laser cannons, energy missiles, plasma rails, all aimed at the hammer. Thousands of tons of destructive force. Seconds. Later, nothing. Not a single hit. Every shot passed through empty space. The hammer was gone. Confused, the fleet paused. Then, behind them, something happened. On the edge of the fleet, 6 ships stopped moving. Then 8 more. Then 20. Suddenly, entire formations were losing power. Shields dropping, weapons locking, and from the shadows of Saturn's rings, it emerged, not 1, not 2, but 5 more ships, each one shaped like the hammer, but different, sleeker, sharper, more advanced. The Yevkari admiral froze. They lied, he whispered. They have more. A cold voice came through the fleets. Comms. You brought war. We brought warnings. You ignored them. It wasn't spoken in anger. It was calm, too calm, terrifyingly calm. Then the sky lit up. The 6 human ships moved like nothing ever seen before, faster than Yevkari sensors could track. They didn't fire traditional weapons. Instead, energy fields collapsed around their targets, Yevkari. Ships simply vanished, dissolved in silent waves of light. No debris, no fire, just erasure. In 30 minutes, the front third of the Yevkari armada was gone. No resistance worked. Their best ships couldn't lock onto the human vessels. Their tracking failed. Their weapons passed through thin air. Inside one Earth command ship, a young officer watched a screen. That counted down, Yevkari vessels remaining. 9,123, 8,650, 6,212 every few seconds, the number dropped. Each deletion marked by nothing but silence. Admiral Keltar screamed orders, regroup, pull back, circle them. But it was useless. The human ships weren't fighting. They were cleaning, like someone wiping dust off a glass table. On the 3rd hour of the battle, the hammer returned. It appeared directly behind the Yevkari flagship. No sound, no signal, just presence. Every Yevkari on board felt it, like a cold breath in their lungs. The lights inside the flagship flickered. Control panels sparked. Every crew member's screen displayed the same words. You struck first. This is your lesson. Then silence. Again. And the flagship was gone. Not destroyed, just removed. One moment it existed. The next, it was erased from space. No warning, no wreckage. Admiral Keltar never finished his last breath. The rest of the fleet panicked. Some ships fled, others shut down. A few opened fire on each other, blinded by chaos. And Earth's ships? They stopped, hovering silently, like statues once more. Watching. Across the galaxy, the Council received the footage, broadcasted by Earth themselves. No music, no editing, just raw video of a 10,000-ship fleet falling apart, without a single shot fired back. The message was clear. You attacked, we erased. End it now. In the council chamber, Ambassador Vagran collapsed. Monsters, he whispered. They are monsters in human skin. Elder Markel stood. No, he said softly. They are what monsters become when you feed them fear for too long. Back on Earth, Kravitz received the final report. Yevkari Armada, 94% destroyed or missing, no Earth losses, 0 human casualties, no celebration followed, only silence. Because Earth never fought for pride, they fought to remind the galaxy of one thing. Humanity does not shout, it whispers and ends empires. After the battle, the galaxy fell silent, not out of peace, but out of awe and fear. 10,000 Yevkari ships, erased, not destroyed in war, deleted, as if space itself had rewritten the story, and Earth had used only 6 ships, no full fleet, no armies, no heroes, just shadows in the stars. But the biggest question now wasn't how they won. It was, what are these ships? In a secure vault deep beneath the Andes Mountains, Earth's top minds gathered. Dr. Lennox, a physicist who once mapped quantum string flows across entire solar systems, stood in front of a giant holographic model of the hammer. It's not just a ship, he said. It's reactive. Reactive how? Asked General Kravitz, arms folded. It learns, Lennox replied. It doesn't just follow orders. It thinks, changes, adapts. Every time it reappears, it's slightly more refined. Are you saying it's alive? No, the scientist whispered. I'm saying it might be something beyond alive. Meanwhile, alien spies tried to learn Earth's secret. On the black market planet Vroxal 7, a mercenary traded captured footage of the hammer for 4 crates of star credits. He sold it to a Solari warlord. The warlord ran it through 12 analysis networks. None could explain what the ship was made of. No metal signature, no fuel traces. The scans returned one impossible result. Material, unknown, possibly unmeasurable. Back in Earth orbit, the hammer floated above the blue planet, not moving, not signaling, just watching. A satellite drifted close. It was automated, harmless, part of an old Earth system. The satellite's camera caught a strange image. For exactly 3 seconds, a set of glowing symbols appeared on the hammer's hull. They resembled letters, but none from any known Earth language. When scientists enhanced the footage and slowed it down, one terrifying truth became clear. The ship was communicating, but not in human code. "Then who is it speaking to?" Kravitz asked in a classified meeting. Dr. Lennox looked uneasy. "Maybe it's not speaking to anyone." He looked around the room. "Maybe it's remembering. Years ago, in the cold tunnels of the Mariana Abyss, Earth scientists recovered something old. A device buried inside ancient rock, far below the seafloor. It pulsed with strange energy. Not from Earth. It couldn't be carbon-dated. It had no recognizable structure. But when it was activated, it projected one thing, a diagram of a ship. The hammer. That discovery changed everything. The ship was not invented. It was completed. Earth had finished something someone, or something else had started long ago. Some began to whisper dark things in secret rooms. What if we didn't build the hammer? What if we were meant to find it? What if we just woke it up? In space, the hammer moved, not far, just slightly. But enough to trigger alarms in 20 systems, because wherever the hammer moved, signals followed. Strange, distorted frequencies that caused sensor blindness. Ships near it lost guidance for 5 minutes. Artificial gravity fields inverted. Some alien tech even began recording messages on their own, written in binary. You opened the gate. At Earth Command, Kravitz faced a hard truth. "We may have unleashed something," she admitted to her shadow council. "Something bigger than us." One voice asked, "Can we control it?" Kravitz answered without hesitation. "No." Another voice asked, "Can anyone?" No answer came, only silence. And silence had become Earth's greatest answer to everything. Far beyond Earth, in the dark zone of space where sensors fail and light bends unnaturally, a small planet blinked. It hadn't glowed in 1,000 years. Now, a pulse radiated from its surface, matching the exact frequency emitted by the hammer, and from the shadows of that planet, another ship began to rise. Not human, not alien, something older. Watching, waiting, listening. The enemy fleet formed a wall across the stars. Hundreds of alien warships floated in perfect alignment, each one ready to strike. Cannons hummed, missile tubes opened, and energy shields pulsed with dark power. The Empire had never been this focused. Not for any other enemy, but Earth's ship, Solstice 1, just hovered silently. No movement, no message, no fear. Admiral Vetra of the Empire stared at it on the hollow screen. One ship, just one, and they dare enter the Iron Sector? Beside her, Commander Jha looked uneasy. "It destroyed our listening outposts, vaporized 3 scout wings. No damage taken." "That ship, it isn't normal." Vetra narrowed her eyes. "Then we destroy it now." Across the command bridge, the Empire's flagship, Blood Rain, sent the order. 100 vessels received the signal at once, and they fired. Beams of blue and red light filled the void. Missiles streaked across space. Gravity bombs and ion warheads screamed toward the human ship. The explosion lit up the sector like a false sunrise. The Empire cheered for 5 seconds, then the light faded, and Solstice 1 was still there. Not a single scratch. Vetra's hands clenched. What kind of shielding is that?" "No shielding detected," Jha whispered. "It didn't block the attacks. They just didn't work." Before anyone could speak again, the human ship moved. It wasn't fast. It wasn't aggressive. But it turned, slow and precise, to face the Empire's line, and it opened its weapons bay. That's when the thunder began. The sound didn't come through space, but every Empire ship received a sudden burst of deep rhythmic pulses over comms, a vibration that shook even hardened warriors. Boom, 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 one after another, like a war drum, like a heartbeat. The human ship wasn't just preparing to fight. It was announcing war. Inside the Empire fleet, panic rippled. One ship's AI locked up, another's targeting systems failed. A third launched escape pods, automatically. And then came the voice. Male. Cold. Calm. To the ships of the Zarkon Empire. You struck first. This will be your only warning. Leave now, or be erased. No one moved. So Solstice 1 did. A bright light formed at its front. Not a cannon, not a missile, something older, deeper. The light exploded outward in a straight beam. It sliced through 4 capital ships like paper. Each vessel was torn in half. No shields, no time to respond, just burning wreckage left behind. Vetra screamed, "All ships, scatter! Flank it!" Too late. The human ship turned again. Another blast. This time it hit a dreadnought, one of the Empire's finest. It vanished. In one hit. No wreckage, no signal. Just gone. Jha whispered, "We can't win this," but the Admiral refused to retreat. "This is just technology. Enough numbers, enough force, and we break it." She was wrong, because the ship wasn't, fighting like any other species. In the chaos, a small Zarkon frigate tried to slip away, not out of fear, but curiosity. They launched a tiny drone to scan the human vessel. It reached close to the hull. Scanning systems activated. Then the drone's feed showed something horrifying. There was no crew aboard Solstice 1. The entire ship was empty. It flew itself, fought itself, thought for itself. An autonomous warship, fully independent, fully lethal, and it was just one. Back on the bridge of the Empire's command ship, silence fell. Even as ships exploded, even as fires spread, no one spoke. Because for the first time in generations, they weren't sure what they were facing. A weapon? A warning? Or something far worse? Suddenly, the voice returned. It echoed through every Empire. Ship. We sent one ship, because that's all we needed. Then all comms went dead, and Solstice 1 vanished, jumped into slip space without any trace. But its message remained, and across the Empire, across the stars, fear began to grow. Because if one ship could do this, what would happen if Earth sent more? The alien fleet didn't wait. As soon as the human ship entered the front lines, every enemy cannon turned and opened fire. Plasma beams, kinetic slugs, missiles, everything they had was launched toward the single Earth ship, but the ship didn't move. It hovered still in space, dark and quiet, like a ghost. Admiral Valrek of the Clyri Dominion watched from his command bridge, confused. Why aren't they dodging? His officers couldn't answer. They just watched the massive screen as wave after wave of firepower hit the human ship, and did nothing. The impacts vanished against the ship's hull like drops of water hitting steel. No shield shimmered, no counterattack came. It just stood there, silent, cold, and invincible. Captain Mira's voice was calm. "Damage report?" "None," her systems officer replied. "Not a scratch. Hull integrity 100%. External temperature rising, but internal systems stable." Mira smiled. "Good. Let them panic." On board the Clyri flagship, panic had already begun. "Admiral," one of the officers shouted. "The human ship? It's absorbing everything. Our readings show impossible materials, unknown structure. It doesn't match any technology in the database." Valrek slammed a fist on the console. "Then switch. Tactics. Flank it. Board it. Crush it from the inside." But no one volunteered to board. And the flanking fleets? They never got the chance. Without warning, the human ship moved. 1 second, it was still. The next, it vanished from their sensors. The Cleary fleet gasped as an entire line of destroyers exploded, sliced apart from within as if something had phased through them. Then another wave of explosions, then another. In just 11 seconds, 32 warships were gone. "What is this weapon?" Valrek whispered. Back on Earth, the broadcast from the human ship was being watched by millions. Families, leaders, even former soldiers who thought Earth was finished. Everyone stared at the screen. The ship's feed showed brief flashes. Enemy. Ships being shredded, shock waves in space, debris spinning away like feathers in a storm. But the human ship remained untouched. It wasn't just surviving, it was winning. Inside the command chamber of the United Human Forces, General Orion watched. With cold satisfaction, he turned to his aide. "What's the current alien command count?" "2 main fleets destroyed. 1 still engaging. The others are fleeing, sir." Orion nodded. "They expected us to send armies. We sent a message instead." Far above, Mira's ship hovered again, now surrounded by silence and wreckage. Suddenly, a direct transmission came through. It wasn't human. It was the Cleary Admiral. "This is Admiral Valrek of the Dominion." "State your terms. We surrender." Mira didn't answer right away. Instead, she activated the ship's secondary AI, which spoke with a voice that echoed in every corner of the enemy's remaining communication systems. "Earth accepts surrender, but this is only the beginning." The message spread. To all alien empires who had once mocked humanity, who had claimed Earth was nothing but a primitive world, they now watched and trembled. One ship had done what no alliance, no fleet, no rebellion ever could. It stood against the rulers of the stars, and it didn't fall. The stars were quiet, too quiet. After the defeat at Zexar Outpost, the alien coalition, once loud, proud, and unstoppable, had gone completely silent. No warships moved, no new messages came, no threats, no attacks, nothing. Captain Rhea stood at the command deck of the Vanguard, her eyes locked on the main screen, which showed dozens of star systems, each one previously ruled by alien fleets. Now all of them were still. She turned to her crew. "Why aren't they responding? Where's their retaliation?" Lieutenant Hano shook his head. "We've scanned all channels. Nothing. It's like they're waiting." "Or hiding?" whispered Sergeant Lennox, who had been on the ground during the Zexar assault. "They know we have the upper hand now. That one ship is enough. The Vanguard, Earth's only deployed warship, had destroyed enemy strongholds, outmaneuvered elite squadrons, and brought fear to a dozen alien species. But now, the silence felt unnatural. Rhea frowned. "This isn't over. It's a new tactic." Meanwhile, deep in the shadow systems, inside a darkened war room hidden on the cold moon of Braithion 6, 12 alien leaders met in secret. The Vakari Chancellor hissed, "This human ship must be stopped, or we fall." "Their technology is not even superior," growled the Grolax. "General. But their will, unbreakable." "We underestimated them," admitted the Zarn Prime. "And that was our mistake, but we will not repeat it." A hologram of the Vanguard appeared above the table. "Destroy the ship," the Grolax said. "Crush their hope. Let the galaxy see them fall." "Agreed," the others said in unison. Back on the Vanguard, Commander Rhea had started to notice strange patterns, sensor glitches, phantom signals, faint energy signatures that vanished before scans could finish. "They're watching us," she said. "They're preparing something." Then the warning klaxon blared. "Incoming!" shouted the systems officer. Dozens of warp, Signatures appeared on the screen, ships uncloaking across nearby sectors, enemy vessels, not just a fleet, an armada. "Evasive maneuvers," Rhea commanded. "Prepare for full defense," but these weren't ordinary attackers. The alien coalition had brought everything: dreadnoughts, bombers, stealth ships, experimental weapons. The Vanguard was about to face its greatest test yet, in Earth Command Center. The generals on Earth watched the data flood in. Admiral Singh whispered, "They've launched a full galactic response. They want a break." "Us before we rise," said General Hassan. "And if we lose this ship," another added, "Earth will be next." But there was no panic, only resolve. They opened secure comms with the Vanguard. "Captain Rhea," Admiral Singh said, voice calm but firm, "this is the moment history will remember." "We understand," Rhea replied. "We won't fall. The battle begins." Alien fleet hit hard. The Vanguard shook under the first barrage. Plasma beams and kinetic strikes slammed into its shields. Inside the ship, sparks flew, consoles shorted, and crew held onto their stations. "Shields at 70%, yelled Lennox. "Return! Fire! Target the flanks!" Rhea shouted. The Vanguard unleashed its advanced weaponry. Railguns fired in rapid bursts, the solar lances lit up space, and defense drones swarmed out in every direction. But the enemy was massive. Even with superior tactics and firepower, the human ship was vastly outnumbered. Then something strange happened. The enemy ships paused. The Vanguard scanners picked up a split-second disruption in the alien command signals. "What is this?" asked Hanno. "Interference," said the AI, Athena. "Localized. Almost like sabotage." "From who?" Rhea asked, but no one had an answer. Unknown alley, suddenly, 2 alien ships turned on their own fleet. They opened fire on the rear of the formation, taking out a Grolax carrier. "What the hell?" gasped Lennox. "Signal intercepts coming in," said Athena. Translation: for freedom, for survival. We stand with humanity. Some alien factions, those tired of the coalition's tyranny, had secretly switched sides. They had seen what the Vanguard stood for, and now they were willing to fight with it. Hope returns with allies joining in. The tide shifted. The battle became chaotic, confusing, dangerous. But it was no longer one ship against the galaxy. It was a spark of rebellion, a signal that tyranny had reached its limit, and Earth had lit the fire. The calm that followed the battle lasted hours. Wreckage floated through space. Fires burned in the vacuum. Lives were lost on both sides. But in the end, the Vanguard remained, damaged, scarred, but victorious, and still flying. Captain Rhea stared at the fading lights of the last enemy ship as it drifted into the void. "The storm passed," she said quietly. "But we're not done. The war wasn't over." But for the first time in galactic history, hope had a name, and it was human. The stars were quiet. Every major power across the galaxy had stopped moving their fleets. No patrols, no warships, no supply lines. Silence. They all waited, because Earth's ship, the Vanguard 1, was heading toward the Empire's home world. Same empire that had ruled the stars for 1,000 years, the same empire that had crushed 100 rebellions. And now, it was afraid. The Emperor watched high above the red clouds of Tranus Prime. The Emperor stood alone in his private chamber. His golden robe flowed like smoke. His skin, covered in ancient war tattoos, twitched as reports kept coming in. "Human ship has crossed the final defense line. Last orbital cannon, destroyed. Shields breached. No resistance remains." The Emperor closed his eyes. For centuries, no one had dared challenge him. And now, a single ship from a forgotten world had broken everything. Vanguard, One's final move inside Vanguard. One Commander Reyna stood at the helm. Her face was calm. Behind her, the bridge crew was silent. They had seen what this ship could do. They had witnessed planets fall, moons shatter, and fleets disappear. But this mission was different. This was not war. This was a message. Earth had sent just one ship, not to conquer, but to end the fear that ruled the galaxy. The broadcast at the edge of the Emperor's palace, as Vanguard 1 hovered above the capital city, a galaxy-wide transmission was sent. Commander Reyna appeared on every screen across 1,000,000 worlds. Her voice was soft but clear. "This is Commander Reyna of Earth. We came because no one else stood up. We came because fear must end. We will not rule you. We do not want your planets. But if the Empire strikes again, we will return. And next time, we won't send just one ship." Then the screen turned black. The Empire's surrender. The Emperor fell to his knees. He had no weapons left, no army, no will. Across the palace, his guards dropped their weapons. Some cried. Some laughed in disbelief. The Empire, once proud and unstoppable, had surrendered without a fight. To Earth. To one ship. To a warning. Across the stars-on distant worlds, once enslaved by the Empire, people screamed with joy. Children danced in the streets. Elders wept. In one night, everything had changed. The galaxy was no longer under one ruler's iron grip. It now lived under a shadow of something stronger. Not a conqueror, but a guardian. Earth's silence, Vanguard 1 turned away from the Empire's homeworld. It didn't stay. It didn't take anything. It simply vanished back into deep space. And Earth? It remained silent. No celebrations. No parades. No new empire, just quiet, because they knew. If the galaxy ever lost its way again, if darkness ever rose once more, Earth would return. And this time, the stars would never forget the sound of its engines.